Today's show brought to you live from Lounge Media Group Studios. It's Pedro and the Freight Hound with the Logistics Lounge. The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.
Yo, everyone. How y'all doing? Hope the day is going mighty fine for you. Hunter, I realized I put one of those little videos in there twice. Remind me to go and fix that intro video. Like one of the slides, it doubled.
Yeah. Well, Pedro, hey, don't forget to go and change that video. There's
Thank
your
you. I
reminder.
appreciate you. All right, awesome. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. It's been a busy week. Got a few people out at work, so I've been picking up slack where I can. Getting a couple customers in, running, fine wine all over this good country. And yeah, man, been a good week. Kicked off Dre's Junkies first episode yesterday. Me and Mr. Steve Talamo with our inaugural guest, Mr. Andrew Spears from Blue Angels Intermodal. It's a good time, man. So been a busy week and got a lot of things coming up, man. But still, my biggest thrill about the month is Matt's, and I can't get the bug out of my system until we get there. I don't know about you.
I'll start from the beginning where you start at. Great, good to hear that your week's going good. Good, nice to hear that you're running all that mighty fine wine on those mighty fine trucks and staying busy. um,
The,
show
the wine
yesterday,
on the freight line.
yeah. Show yesterday was awesome, man. Dude,
Appreciate that.
freaking loved it, man. That guy I had on Andrew, he was a really cool guy, man, and just the things he's had to say, his story, man, and then hearing that he's connected with some people that we're closely connected with, and man, him getting that, what was it, like Lyme disease or whatever it was that he had or
Yeah,
something.
dude, wild. Like,
Dude,
this
that
is a
was
crazy story. But yet
that was
another person that had no intentions of falling into freight, but did on accident.
exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and,
interested. I'm excited to see where that show goes, man.
yeah,
Hitting another
me too,
side.
man.
But
It was
how's your day been? How's your week been? What's going on in the world of Pedro
week
Potato?
day is good. Week has been phenomenal. Man, still working on this massive project that I got going on in California, trying to find some carriers to do that. That's been taking up most of my time, which that's obviously going good. Hadn't even got them final quotes yet, and they're already talking about sending me stuff to have me do the same thing down in SoCal. So absolutely love that, man. Dude hit a milestone in my health journey this week. You know, I mean, everyone saw the post, so yeah, thanks, man. I'm
Proud of you,
happy
brother.
about that, dude. Hopefully, I continue that and continue to carry past that hump. And I haven't put the pictures out yet for Kelly and Trent, but I got my Mellow Ball Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shoes, bro. Yeah, yeah. So, dude, I love those things. Those are the sickest shoes like ever. And I'm not wearing them. I'm not wearing them outside of the house until Matt's. So I've been walking around with them in the house trying to break them in, dude, because I've never had. Man, those basketball shoes, they're real stiff, man. I don't know if they're all like that or maybe those are just good quality. But so yeah, not going to wear them officially.
Oh, it's shoes like that, man. So big sneakerheads, the biggest thing they worry about is the crease on the toe. So they probably do make them a little tougher. But you can get crease guards for inside the shoe so they stay, rock solid, man. It helps with the wear and tear.
Yeah, my kids care about all that stuff, and to those people, I say, hey, that's great, but they're shoes. No, Chuck, yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, whatever. So anyway, good week, man. Good week. Everything is going mighty fine. Just happy to finally be here with you and our wonderful guest. Another guy that we met through Supply Chain Social Club stuff, the Warehouse After Dark or something. I don't know where I met this guy, but it had to do with them, or what event I should say, but it had to do with them. So we're going to go ahead, do some quick news, and then we'll get to our guest. This was a good one, man. Found this one buried. Found a new news site thanks to truckingnewshub.com and Steve and them. Like this story was on there, dude. Truck and Dive. Never heard of this publication before. So found me a new publication. But here we are. Leaders from BNSF, OIDA, Tanager Logistics, and Academy Sports and Outdoors raised the alarm about rising cargo theft and urged lawmakers to step up enforcement and possibly put together a task force during a Senate subcommittee hearing on February 27th. Broker fraud, shipment interception, and other forms of cargo theft are costing supply chains billions annually, multiple speakers said at the subcommittee hearing. They all cited data from the Federal Homeland Security Investigations Agency. They said, furthermore, these crimes are contributing to higher consumer costs and even threatening some carriers' livelihoods. Robert Howe, who he's the chief of supply chain at Academy, he said in his 25 years in supply chain, he has never seen cargo theft this prevalent. He added that crime in this area has advanced from stealing a truckload or duplicating a DOT motor carrier number to now it involves cyber theft and stealing of online credentials and access to other systems. They said this allows the thieves to easily impersonate a carrier or a broker and commit theft using victims' info and leaving them responsible, which we've heard, numerous stories about people's info get stolen and loads get booked and stolen, and they're the ones responsible for that. He gave an example of something they went through, and he said recently they had a shipment of private label swimwear that was intercepted on its way from Nevada to Texas. And he said, as you can imagine, this time of year, we need this stuff coming into the warm season down in the South. And he said, unfortunately, they had to react really quickly to the stolen property, and they had to repurpose and reposition product from other places in their network, which are now going to be shorthanded. He said, this added cost onto their transportation and other stuff, and it might raise their insurance. So, yeah, these excuse me, God, my throat. Apologize about that. So yeah, there you are. These individuals going up here finally get in front of the Senate. Getting this fraud and stuff really talked about. And
about time, dude. We're talking about billions of dollars here. Crazy.
Yeah, I agree, man. And it's another item that is finally getting the recognition and attention that it deserves at the government, the highest government levels. We've just really been pushes towards things like, the double broker and the fraud, this step stuff, FMCSA changing the registration processes. So a lot of good things happening, man. A lot of really, really good things happening as of late. These items being taken into consideration, and, hopefully they'll start making some laws or whatever, change current things to help our industry out.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Anything else on that, buddy?
Oh, man. I do like Neil's idea. We can do new boot shoe goofing at the booth. So I'll bring out some of my crazy cowboy boots with your shoes. Fun time. Shout out Freight Ninja. Remington, thanks for watching, dog. Still got to get him on the show, dude. He runs hot shots for like Harley Davidson and like a few other like power sport companies, man. Really cool shit. Hell yeah. Josh, miss you, dog. You need to get some updates from that guy. Josh is making some big moves out there.
He is, man. He got himself a new position and everything, man. I think he's I don't know if he's on the shipper side or what he's doing, but I know he got a new position. Transportation
then our boy Ethan Talamo. Thanks for tuning in, brother. But you ready to get to this guest there, Pedro?
I am, man. I'm very ready. Carmelo Messina, everyone.
I love that intro, man. That's a great video right there.
Dude, I appreciate it. I actually had another song for it, but for some reason it wouldn't upload it to our system here, so I had to completely redo it, man. But it was the new, I don't know, I guess a theme song for the team you used to play for, man. So I thought it was a pretty cool song. I was like, man, I'm gonna put this on there, but yeah, wouldn't let me upload it. So that's what you got. But I'm so happy that you liked it either way.
Yeah, no, awesome. Yeah, thank you both for having me. Super excited to be here today and talk all things logistics and a little bit about my background as well, how I went transition from the world of sports entertainment into logistics. So I'm happy to be on here with you guys and be able to talk a little bit about it.
Oh yeah, man. We appreciate you chopping out chopping out some time for us and stuff, man. When we had first met at that event, you and I were sitting at that table with them other people, and we had a really good conversation going, man. You know what I mean? Talking about the sales stuff and all the things that you've done. So wanted to bring that out of there and on to here. But so before we get to our first question, man, how are you? How's your day? How's your week been?
Yeah. Day's great. Weather's finally starting to warm up here in the Chicagoland area. I don't have any shoe problems like you mentioned going on this week. So far, so good on my end. But yeah, things are going well. Super excited. Seeing all the different changes that are happening within the market. Usually Q1 is where you see a lot of change, right, within a lot of companies. So, and what does that mean for everybody else within the market itself? But overall, great week. I just got back. My sister's getting married, so we went on a bachelor party with her significant other to Puerto Rico. So I just got back, so I got a nice little tan going. So zero complaints in my world at the moment.
Dude, that
Jealous
is
of
not,
that, dude. That sounds awesome.
Oh, it was
no,
a
bro.
great time. Yeah.
Heck, yeah, that's the type of bachelor party I'm talking about, man.
Yeah.
You're technically not going out of country, but going out of country. You know what I mean?
Don't need a passport. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't need a passport. Direct flight from Chicago. So, yeah, it was easy. And, it was a great time. That's, one of the rules. You don't talk about anything at the bachelor party. So I'll just leave it at that. It's a great time.
What happens in Puerto Rico stays in Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Yeah. Same rules apply.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, wait, we'll get right into it then, and we'll start you off with the same question we do everyone, and that is, who is Carmelo, and how did you get to be where you are now in logistics?
Yeah. No, great question. So as a kid growing up, my mother was one of 6 kids. And a couple of my uncles, they drove trucks, but primarily in the construction world around Chicagoland market in area there. So as a kid, I was able to have the opportunity to jump into some of these trucks. I thought it was super cool, and a lot of the work that they were doing. Now, fast forward a little from being a little kid into my athletic career. Just like every other kid that grows up playing sports, your dream is always to play in the NFL, NBA, go pro in golf, right, or wherever, NHL. So I had the opportunity to do that. I had the opportunity to play at the University of New Mexico. One of the main reasons why I went there, I'm originally committed to the University of Illinois. But the coach that was the linebacker coach at the University of Illinois the head coach got fired at the time, ended up getting he ended up getting hired at the University of New Mexico, ended up going there. And what I was telling Hunter a little bit before too was the main recruiting pitch there was Brian Urlacher, right? Growing up a Chicagoland kid, Brian Urlacher was next to God at that point. He still has all his billboards where his face is on it. Now he's doing hair commercials and promoting all that stuff because he's got a full head of hair now, if you guys haven't noticed.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but as a college kid, I was like, naive, thinking, hey, if I go play at the school, I'll automatically play for the Chicago Bears, where all my friends and family were big fans of. So that's what brought me out that way. But then I ended up signing with the Detroit Lions, which I think I've never met anyone that says I hate the Detroit Lions because they're always that underdog team that everyone kind of roots for. And they still have that mentality that I love today, as the bite their kneecaps off type of Dan Campbell mentality.
Dan Campbell's the man, dude. When I
is.
saw him cry for his team, I was like, he's going to make a change there.
Yeah, he's a player's coach. He's done the role. He's played it, right? He knows what it takes. And he played back in the day, right, when it's I call it the not so fun league that the NFL now, but too many rules, too many penalties for these. Just let the guys play. But anyways, played at the University of New Mexico. Had a pretty good career there, which ended up leading me to the Detroit Lions. Met I know one of the questions you guys had, a lot of some of the cool people that have played there. Got to hang out with Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, Reggie Bush. Dominic Sue, all those great guys. They're just as great, on the field as they are off the field. Now, fast forward a little bit post career. So I ended up playing in Canada as well for a year, and then transitioned back to the hub of logistics, which I like to say Chicago. And always knew I wanted to do something with trucking. Ended up getting into tech sales, selling ELDs, routing software, scheduling, dispatching software, work order management software, all in the logistics space. So more on the telematics software side. Fell in love with it. I fell in love with sales, fell in love with helping people, especially owner operators, business owners that sometimes, I'm on a lot of calls. Sometimes they don't understand that they're running a business, right? From the day to day, they just think they're in a truck moving freight. Like, no, you are a business. You are the face of your business, right? So helping them with that, helping them obviously be compliant, find loads, find good paying loads, and then helping them just ultimately grow their business. I love getting on calls. I get tons of text messages all the time, randomly. Hey, Carm, I'm at 5 trucks now. Hey, Carm, I'm at 15 trucks, right? It's just great to hear that. Even though I haven't talked to this individual in months or years, it's great to just like get that text, knowing that you've helped someone at the end of the day. And that's what I'm passionate about. So passionate about all things freight, passionate about helping people first and foremost. And logistics, I found the culture around it really matched the athletic culture that I was with or used to, hardworking individuals that want to win, they're not scared of putting in the hours, the sweat equity. Hearing both of you guys talk on this, previous to this, and then on this podcast as well, all the work that you guys are putting in day in, day out. It doesn't have to be just professional athletes that do it. Everybody, if you're willing, if you're passionate about it and you're willing to put in the sweat equity, those are the type of people I like to surround myself with.
Yeah, absolutely. Never made it to the pros, but played sports my entire life. And, Pedro, he comes from a military background. So that's, it does mesh. And I think that's why I do love logistics, man. It's like, I could never be an accountant because that's the same boring thing every day. But, logistics, man, Marshawn Lynch, put the team on your back. You got to make the plays when it comes down to it. And that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so, and first I want to say, what do you prefer to be called?
So everyone, a lot of people call me Carm for short. Carmelo, Carmen, yeah. So either one of them. I trust Pedro. Trust me. Throughout my playing days, I've been called way worse.
I believe it.
Sitting in the tunnel, having people throw pennies down in the tunnel because it hits your helmet and it rings very loud. No matter what people call me, I'll be okay. All
right, well, cool. Because when I looked you up earlier, I found you as Carmen, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then anyway, so I just want to make sure we call you what you're comfortable with. So we'll just go with Carm. That's nice and easy.
That's perfect.
So I guess the first thing is, how did you get into the sales part of it? Like what was it about the sales area of logistics that you wanted to be in? And we'll get to the tech part later.
Yeah, absolutely. So after I left Canada, so I was up and playing for the Montreal Alouettes, who they ended up hiring the head coach there to coach for the Bears. Didn't turn out so well, but so after that, I knew I wanted to do something within sales because my competitive nature. I needed to see my name at the top of the leaderboard. It was one of the things that hopefully my track record speaks for myself there, but I knew I wanted to help people, so I ended up finding a job at a company called NCSA, which helped high school kids get recruited. I didn't even know I was in sales, but that's what I was doing. I was helping sell these kids subscriptions, packages to get them in front of college coaches. Now, every kid thinks they're going to go play Division I, but the reality is less than 3% do. And there's way more Division I AA schools, way more Division II and Division III schools that are out there. And at the end of the day, as long as you get your college paid for, that's a win, right? And that's just the reality of it. It's not every kid's going to play at the Division I level, but you can definitely get your school paid for, your education paid for, continue to get to play the sport that you love at Division II, Division I AA, Division III. So I ended up finding a job with them. And then started realizing I was in sales, and I did enjoy it. I did enjoy going from a new hire to the top of the leaderboard, and then quickly after that, ended up getting a job with a company called Fleetmatics, which ended up going public and then getting acquired by Verizon. But that's where it transitioned me into more of the logistics world, where I felt more comfortable with, anyways. Talking with owner operators, business owners, helping them not only with the routing of the jobs or the rate of the freight that they're moving, but the scheduling, dispatching of those carriers, being able to instantly connect with them, be able to know the GPS location of their drivers, so they don't have to constantly pick up the phone and say, where are you at, right? Like, how far away are you? That's probably one of the most annoying things that I hear from carriers in the cab is that this guy's called me 5 times since I've been on this lane asking me where I'm at, right? Like yeah, no, there's ways to solve for that, but I get it, right? But so yeah, fell in love with the telematics, the GPS tracking portion of it, and then all the things that come with it. And doing this back in 2012, where people were anti-smartphones, anti-GPS tracking, where you fast forward today, I get up on stage on mats, and again, not selling GPS or anything like that, but just asking them, how many of you guys share your information, your real-time location with your brokers, right? With your clients. And it's surprising to see that more than 60-75% of the room raises their hands, because they simply just don't want to deal with all those phone calls, the back and forth, and it helps them pick up more loads too, right? Because if they can see where you're at in real time, all of a sudden a load becomes available. Hey, just detour 20 miles, you can pick up something real quick and continue on your route, right? Ultimately making you more efficient and making you more money. So that's my whole backstory, how I went from, the athletic background. I knew I wanted to compete. To what Hunter mentioned, I couldn't just be an accountant. That's just not who I am. If I did 120%, I still get paid the same, right? As crunching those numbers, where sales was the only thing that I said, hey, it's on me, right? It's 100% on me. I can make a $0 paycheck, or I can make, $10,000 paycheck. It's completely up to me. And I'm the type of person who wants to bet on themselves all the time. So that kind of what led me from, athletics to selling the kids, getting scholarships, to not even realize I was selling into telematics, and then never leaving the logistics world after that.
Well, the logistics part is a drug, so you can't leave.
It's very addictive.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know. I was like, man, should I bring all my Zins and all my other cans? I was like, if we're gonna be here for an hour, I might, have to pop one in. But yeah, no, it's super addicting. I just love the people that are in it. Right? It's not for everybody. I think you'll learn that right away. But if you love it and you're passionate about it, it's not work. And I know I know both you guys and everyone that's listening has worked 10, 12-hour days being in the logistics space. You just got to be passionate about it, at the end of the day.
You have to love what you do.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely. This is definitely one of those industries you got to be passionate about to stay in it, man, because it is not it's not for the faint of heart. It'll definitely test you every single day, man, every day. So we talked about the salesman, but why into the tech and staying into the tech part of it? Is it just opportunity at first? Or were you a techie guy before that, or is that just where you feel you shine? So why that? Not moving into brokering or carrier sales or something else?
Yeah. So great question. I wouldn't say the brokerage side of me is not part of my background. I have brother-in-laws, brothers, family friends that are all on the brokerage side of the house. So I'm very, very close to the brokerage world there. I think it was just opportunity at first, which brought me into it. I thought technology was super cool, right? When I first started at Fleetmatics, I'm pretty sure I had the Nextel flip phone walkie-talkie, which I still think they should bring that back, because it was so nice to be able to just get a hold of someone right away. I know those days are long gone, but I can still dream. So I always thought the tech side of it was super cool. Being more efficient, I thought was also part of the, if any business owner, you're always trying to be more efficient than you were the year before, right? And more efficient than you were yesterday. So I definitely saw what tech can do for the space and helping owner operators, helping business owners, not only from a compliance standpoint, which, I have my own 2 cents about that. I won't go down, but just how I was able to help people at the end of the day, right? And be able to help them find more loads, find more high paying loads, be able to also network as well. I think tech just, first it was opportunity, but tech I just fell in love and was passionate about, just because things are always changing, things are always evolving, and if you don't embrace it, unfortunately you're going to be left behind, right? It's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and man, I'll tell you, I applaud you for being in the tech sales side of thing. I couldn't do it for 2 reasons. One, I'm not a real big tech guy, but for 2, I think the tech sales side of this industry is as, if not more competitive than like the broker side. Do you know how many tech companies there are out there like vying for someone's piece of their business, dude? Like,
Yeah.
man, God, you're in the same
Yeah.
boat, man. You call people, they've already talked to 18 of you this week.
Oh, 100%. It's a good and a bad thing, right? I mean, because again, when I started, there wasn't a lot of tech in this space. I mean, ELDs weren't even a mandate yet. But now all of a sudden, to your point, if you go to Matt's, they got two huge rooms full of, a lot of tech companies that are there. So I mean, one, it's a good thing, right? I love when tech enters a new industry, because they're trying to solve for problems that have existed for long periods of time. Which is awesome. And I see some of the background. You got Freight Ninja there, and Truck Parking Club that are coming in and trying to solve for some of the needs that a lot of these carriers are having. So I mean, that's a good thing, right? Helping solve for some of the pain points. But to your point, everything is public information now. As soon as you get your authority, there's 100 companies that have that information right off the bat, which also ties into what you guys just showed on the intro videos. The fraud within the marketplace is, no good deed goes unpunished. The FNC comes in, trying to regulate it, make it so who's moving your freight. But the problem when you make that information public is everybody knows who everybody is, and it's also unfortunate at the same time. So it's only a matter of time till we figure it out, right? The industry as a whole try to figure out the best way of going about sharing that information. But tech sales is extremely hard. It's extremely competitive, because as soon as you find a solution for a problem, there's going to be 5 other companies right behind you that are trying to catch up and do the same thing.
So keeping on the last part there you just said, is someone who, if you as mentioned, has been in this, before we were super, super tech heavy. Do you think we're a little too tech saturated? At this point, do you think we like the level of redundancies with people doing the same thing has just gotten out of hand?
So that's a great question. I think logistics is going to be able to benefit from having tech come in later, because if you look at some of the other industries that are out there that had tech come to them first, they're still using. I just saw an article right on air traffic controllers as of late. They're still using this old software, right? Because again, it was regulated, government regulated, so not a lot of companies could penetrate it. But let's just take healthcare for example. A lot of the legacy health systems were still using antiquated software, right? That you can't rip and replace that, because it's tied into everything. They spent millions of dollars with APIs and integrations. And so unfortunately, if there's something that's out there that's cheaper, that's faster, that's way more efficient, you just can't rip it out, because you have all these other systems that are tied into it. Luckily with trucking, at least, from my 2 cents, is with tech entering the space as of late, no one's going to be bogged down by some of those legacy systems, where they do have the opportunity to now, rip some of their old platforms that they have and replace it with something that's a little bit newer, more efficient, cheaper. Yes, there's a lot of it, but there's always going to be a lot of noise whenever there's opportunity for people to make money too from a business perspective at the end of the day, right? Yes, it's great that they're entering because they're solving for pain and they're solving for issues that carriers are dealing with, which is great. But as soon as you let the public know that there's these issues, you're going to have 10 companies trying to fight for that solution there.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of irks me, and what Pedro was talking about with the saturation of technology these days, it almost seems like some people create problems that don't exist just to create a solution. And a lot of these cats have never even stepped foot in the realm of logistics.
Or
so
in
it's
a
like,
cab.
who
Yeah.
can you really trust in this that knows what they're talking about rather than reading a news article and being like, oh, thefts up, so let's go ahead and create this system. Like,
100%. Sometimes you walk around mats and you're just like, yeah, it's great in theory, but I feel like it should be an add-on or enhancement of another product somewhere else. It shouldn't be its own standalone type of product, right? And
that's funny you bring that up too, because you do see like a lot of those companies that are like, up and coming, and they're like, oh, we're partners now, and oh no, we're partners with these people now, and it's just like this interweb of just tech companies that are just, I don't know, like jobbing around, which is cool, but
yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, right? Because someone who's been in the industry for a while, they have the network, so for you to build your business as a standalone, it's going to be hard. So it's better to partner, which is great. Ties back to what I mentioned later, with all this tech coming in as of late, it gives you the opportunity to partner with all these other companies from a tech standpoint, from a tech stack standpoint, where it's not so expensive to do so, if you're going into the healthcare system, right? So there's definitely pros and cons. Yeah, to your point, you see a lot of these standalone companies, but the best way is to kind of partner who's currently doing it today, right? Because they already have the network of carriers, of shippers, of brokers, and if you could tie within that network, that's in my eyes, that's the best route.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like or an example or a comparison. Like Disney. Disney's bought out so many companies now. Like if you get Disney Plus, you get Hulu, you get Max and all this stuff for free, but you can still buy them separately. But it almost gets overcomplicated. Like I can go on my Roku right back here and look for a movie and it'll say it's for $20, but I just have to go to another platform and it's free. So I mean, use an example like Salesforce. Mm-hmm. Salesforce and freight does not work because the salespeople will sell you every single option on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need but 10% of that for freight, So I mean, there's definitely great opportunities in it, but like within that, like I'm here for the entrepreneurial side of life, and the people that admit like, hey, I've never been in freight, but like I am on a mission for this. I'll respect that, but the people that the bad actors, as they've been coined today, like you're just out here to get a cash grab, seeing like especially during COVID times, man, like everybody's making all this money, so I'm gonna go get my MC number. I'm gonna create this company, yada yada, and then you got a big old pile of shit that you got to sift through. It gets a little tricky, but that's my 2 cents. Not to ramble.
No, I mean, well, the amount of owner operators that within my friend circle that signed up. I mean, because think about it, someone who was driving prior to COVID, and then all of a sudden, all their lanes get shut off, or they're not running all of a sudden because they're told they have to park their truck. Then all of a sudden they pick back up and they're making $8+ a mile, and they're saying, hey, I just closed over 110K last year, right? And I barely worked. So everyone signed up during that. So, but you got to truly be passionate, especially if you're going to be over the road. You got to truly be passionate about it and enjoy it too, right? Because if you're not passionate, you're not enjoying it. Over the road trucking, it's not for the faint of heart by any means. So.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite things to hear is drivers crying sometimes because there's no solution to it. Well, I run this lane and I make no money, and it's like, well, park your truck, get a part-time job, drive Uber for a minute, and figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna hold your hand. But you made that business decision, like you're talking about earlier. Drivers need to understand, especially as owner operators, your truck is your office. That is your business on wheels. And the biggest thing that Pedro and I talk about with that is, knowing your bottom dollar and know what the fuck you're getting into. If you're gonna be home every night, go work local, or run milk runs or some shit. But if you're not willing to be out on the road for a week or two or shit, even like our buddy Indy Trucker, man, he runs like 2 or 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
But he's about that life, and he understands what he's after. Like, he has goals and ambitions, and he's not just looking at it for paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on. Know your cost per mile and know who your customer is, right? It's when you go and pick up loads or pick up freight, get out, introduce yourself, right? Try to get on a first name basis with individuals as much as you can, because that's where you build a connection where, and I think there's definitely a need for brokers in the space, right? Because they're the ones, calling on the manufacturers, calling on the suppliers, building those relationships to move freight, right? Shippers and manufacturers don't want to deal with that, right? They just want to make a product and get it out the door, right? They don't want to have to coordinate, do the logistics side of the world, right? So that's why they go out to a brokerage. Brokerage is making $100, $200, $300 a day, building those relationships, and then they're calling on the carriers, right? As a carrier, get out, get to know who your customer is, right? Know your cost per mile, so you know where, at least at the minimum, what type of freight that you can and cannot take, right? Because it's not going to make you any money. But also know who your customer is at the end of the day, right? If you can at least check off those 2 boxes, the third box, you should just be in a truck because you love it, right? First and foremost. But if you can do those other 2 things, you'll have a successful business.
Absolutely. Get out there and sell.
Yeah. Sell yourself. I know you're running a business. It's hard to look at it that way, right? Because you're like, hey, I just want to drive, right? Like, I just want to turn the tires. I just want to burn some miles. But you are a business at the end of the day, right? Know your business, know what it takes to, get clients, even though it's hard, right? But if you can at least do those little things, get out of your truck, go talk to the warehouse manager, whoever it is. Just try to get on a first name basis, right? You build those relationships. They start calling you directly. Now all of a sudden you got a long-term client there.
Oh. And it's Pedro.
Oh, I was gonna say, very
in.
well said, man. Huh?
I saw you leaning in. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, yeah, no, you're good, bro. You're good. Damn it, what was I gonna say? Oh, I know. I was gonna try to end the tech stuff on this, and then I kind of want to get into maybe the sales stuff, because you're a sales leader at this point. You're helping leading teams and other people and helping them grow and nurture and that stuff too. So kind of want to talk about that next. But crap, it left. It's coming. Got it. Here it is again. Woo-wee. Sorry, man. I got a brain injury, bro. So shit comes and it goes, and it depends on
me and you both,
stays,
man. I used to get paid to bash my head in for a living, so I feel yeah.
There you go.
I guess we both technically did, but
yeah. my wife calls them my poof moments. That's what it is, because it's there and poof, it's gone. Okay, so question: what sector of the tech field in logistics do you feel is underserved, or that the technology is still sorely lacking in that area?
Oh, great. So tech. I think we'll need another hour to talk about telematics for sure and the ELD side of it. But I think a lot of these companies are doing it as of late. So one thing that I hear from carriers, and you see it all the time, you see it at FreightWaves, you see it at MATS, you see it at BCS, Broker Carrier Summit, the top 3 complaints of a carrier, besides the brokers are ripping me off and all that, is parking, safe parking, facilities on the road. So I think the tech that's coming and helping solve for that, because again, it's mandatory. You have to get off the road. And when you do that, you kind of want to be at a place or at a facility that you can park your truck. It's not going to get broken into. It's not going to get stuff isn't going to get stolen off the truck. I grew up in Chicago. All our TVs came off the truck, off the back of a truck. But being able to feel comfortable and feel safe parking truck and then be able to go out, get a bite to eat, go grab a shower, do all those things. So anything that's helping the person that's behind the wheel, I think is great tech. I think I love to continue to see some of that develop. But to my comments I mentioned earlier, I love to see it integrated with some of the tech stacks that are already there today, because I don't even want to open up 5 apps when I'm on a lane, let alone any driver is going to want to do that either, right? If there's the tech stack that you can find a load, find where you can park, find where you can fuel along that route, do your logs, all that within one platform. Whoever can figure that out, I think is ultimately going to be the winner at the end of the day. If you can just be in one app to do it all, that's my dream. I was just in Puerto Rico. We were driving those scooters around. The scooters are everywhere. You have to download 3 different apps because there's all these different scooters, right? That's just me complaining as a person who's walking down the street. But even as a carrier, you don't want to have to go into 5, 10 different apps, along one lane. So whoever can do that, that's where I think it's lacking. I think if we, again, pushing to integrate partnerships, whoever can do that the fastest will ultimately win within that space. And as long as the tech is solving for the human being behind the wheel, you're going to get my vote every time. So.
Let me do something real quick. Dale Prax. Speaking of the Dale,
yeah,
he will arrive. But I agree with that, man. Like, it is too much, like you have to go through highway, or you have to go through all these different companies just to do one simple thing. And it's, drivers, man, that's dangerous enough for them just to be driving, much less, getting on their phone. And if they have to pull over, they have to find a parking spot, and then they have to waste time, and that clock's running down. And, it's drivers can complain about some things rightfully, but it's, I agree with you, man.
yeah.
Like it's just kind of too much, floating around where it needs to be combined.
Oh, absolutely. And think about it. You guys have all been in a cab before. You got the radio going off, and then you got all 100 tech companies also calling you at the same time, trying to sell you something. And you also have 50 different brokerages calling you at the same time, trying to see if you're available and where you're. And then even the one that you're actually hauling loads for are also calling you to find out where you're at. So it went from back in the 80s and 90s, you're only getting. You weren't getting any calls on your cell phone, right? Because they didn't exist yet. But now you're getting 100 calls. Just going, or maybe even more than that, just going from Chicago to Cleveland, right? So with everything else that you're dealing with while trying to drive safely down the road. So,
well, this even comes back to the brokerage side. You got tracking companies like Sam Sarah and MicroPoint and all this, and you still got brokers pounding down their door every 15 minutes. I remember the first company I ever worked for. The driver would be on site sometimes, and they would make me call these cats at like 4 or 5 in the morning to make sure he was still there. Talk about getting cussed out and pissing off a driver and ruining that relationship. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's where simple text would be way better off than calling and waking someone up who's just been on the road for 8 hours straight, right?
Yeah.
That's to my point, right? Is working with telematics companies that you can share your real-time location with like one click of a button, right? Now that doesn't mean that brokers ain't going to still call you, right? Because
you got a Cali to Illinois load, and it's sitting, funnily enough, on a rail yard. It's like, where's my freight? Oh, he's broke down. All right. Why is it moving at 20 miles an hour right now through the mountains? I don't know.
It beats me.
Cell phone in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think eventually the dream would be to have everything. I guess to have it where we are with cell phones right now. You either have your Android platform or you have the Apple platform. Everything else pretty much integrates with both of those. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
everything is fed to that one device. So ultimately maybe it'll get to the point to where the ELD will be just the information hub or information center. You can run your ELD from there, get all your load information, all the stuff that you need be just in that one place, and have to deal with that. Because I remember when I was a driver, man, just the amount of apps alone
Yeah.
that you had. I mean, you had an app for every single truck stop. You had I didn't use the cat scale app, but a cat scale app, your map apps, the apps for all the different brokers and companies that you do business with. It is just absolutely ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I think a lot of it is tech is oversaturated with tech. And I think a lot of companies, they look to what Hunter said, they'll come up with a solution for a problem that just doesn't even exist yet. You know what I mean? Like all these brokers have apps, you know what I mean? And it's like, you spent millions of dollars on those things. How much traffic are you really getting? Because you know what I mean? Like no
Yeah.
one is down. Not very many
Oh,
people are
dude,
downloading
and that's kind of a
apps.
funny thing too, man. Because I remember, like, when I first got into brokerage, like the big sales point was like, "Oh, we got all this technology," and
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Okay," but you still got your old school cats that are like, "I don't want that at all. Like, call me. I will
Yeah.
fax you, the orders and shit." And now it's kind of gone to the peak, and then now it's starting to level out again, where people are like, "Dude, just shoot me an email. I'll send you everything." Like, it's just too much. It's overloading. Like, we already got enough problems in logistics as is, and then bring in technology in that, dude. All day today, my phones, my laptop, my work laptop, none was working. But I could pick up the phone and talk to somebody still. But like, if these apps go down, they're going with updates. Like we've seen TAD, I'm going to call them that, with their downages and, some other spots where it's just like, if that goes blank, what do we do? Nobody knows what to do. They're like, oh man. And that's going to create another, the next thing we're going to see, it's funny. Like Pedro and I've talked about this, the steamship lines, one of their big advancements in technology was putting fucking sails on the boats. So they save energy. It's like, yeah. And then next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh, well, there's this thing where you can send an email, but it's paper, so it comes right to you. And it's like, oh, that's a fax machine, dumbass.
Oh my god, Hunter,
I
that
saw
shit is fucking funny,
Hunter. I saw
man.
that same article where it's like they're putting sails on cargo ships because they're trying to be more green. I was like, we just reverted back 100 years.
Exactly,
dude.
dude.
That's all we did. Like that's called a sail. They've had those.
Sailboat, dude.
Yeah, I know. I think about it too. Like you go on these long road trips, and you now that I'm older, I took it for granted going into like those dead zones, but at least now today I can just listen to a podcast, zone everything out, go in airplane mode on my phone and just arm out the window, just driving, listen to a podcast, just chilling, being by myself for a couple hours, right? Like people who drive a truck, that's sometimes what they want to do, right? They don't want to have to deal with all the tech that's in the space, even though as much as it is, helping make things more efficient, making things easier, it also you're available 24/7, which is not always the reason why you got behind the wheel in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, think from the sales point, if you got a micromanager, that doesn't make my job any easier than it just adds more problems, like, let me do my thing. You hired me for a reason to do my job. I don't need you down my neck, down my throat every freaking minute just to check and make sure things are going good. I'll let you know when there's a problem, no doubt. But yeah, seeing it from both sides.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's just from a broker standpoint, remember they got to move as many loads as they can to break even. So they always got to check, and they get dinged too, right? If a carrier's late. So I get it from both sides. I see it from both sides. It's never as perfect as it sounds. That's for sure.
Hunter kind of touched on something when he was talking, and something we speak about a lot with just a lot of things, different parts of this industry when it comes to tech. But you know, um, when things fail, we're at the point in a lot of things in our society, and especially this industry, that there's no backups, there's no fail safes. No, I mean, how many people could use a fax machine right now without having to be taught? You know what I
Yeah.
mean, or understand those things, or be able to take calls and do things the old way. So how do you feel? What do you think about that, Carm? I mean, do you feel that even though that we are obviously a tech heavy society, just globally, not just in our industry, but that people still should think about, what if this doesn't work one day? Do you think that that's something that people should address, and you think that folks have kind of thrown to the wayside?
Yeah, I mean, no, I definitely get your point, and I know Hunter made a good point. When some of these load boards go down, you're like, oh shoot, what do I do next, right? And that's where, go back to what I said earlier, is get out of your truck, go meet someone face to face, right? Because when that does happen, it's going to happen. It's inevitable, right?
Inevitable.
Yeah.
We got Verizon,
Yeah,
the entire Verizon network going out, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
have to have a backup plan.
Yeah, you got to have a backup. People are always trying to enhance software. When you do that, they miss a line of code and it shuts it down for 8 hours, so they can try to figure it out. Right? Same thing can happen for cellular towers, all of that. So that's where I always revert back to, is every time you're going and picking up a load, just get out. Even if it's not the right person, that person knows who the right person is, right? And I know tech's not going away. If cell phones completely went down across the whole world, we have other problems. I think at that point, then moving freight. I always watch those movies where, like, we get hit with an EMP and then everyone just goes grabs their guns, right? Like that's usually, I think that's the bottom line. That's what's going to happen. But I mean, tech's not going away. Unfortunately, it's going to continue to advance. It's going to continue to try to make our lives easier. So try as much as you can to embrace it, but always have that backup, right? Like I hear you mention fax, but how many brokerages still even have faxes, right? Like they might just wait, the next day until you're available, until you're connected to Wi-Fi to email it. Always have a backup. At the end of the day, this is a human to human business, human to human interaction. Someone is shaking your hand saying, there's tens, if not hundreds of $1,000s in the back of your truck. I am trusting you to be able to get it to point A to point B, right? And if you can develop those types of relationships, don't use tech. Don't use these load boards. Don't use brokers if you don't have to. I mean, it's great to be able to get started and find work right away, but that shouldn't be your end all be all, right? I firmly believe that. Maybe I'm just old school and maybe I'm naive. I look at all this tech, especially load boards, as a way to network yourself, promote yourself, brand awareness, be able to meet all these different suppliers and brokers in different, depending on what type of lanes you're running, different areas, different parts of the country. But at the end of the day, build those relationships, right? Where if a broker or a shipper sees that you got dinged for something, on your authority, but I actually know that person, and I'll take his word for it, right? And I'm not trying to say that getting dinged for things that's not appropriate, but at the end of the day, they trust you. They can pick up the phone and call you direct, right? And they're willing to bend a little bit more if you're early or if you're late on loads, because they actually know you as a human being. So, long story short, to answer your question, embrace it as much as you can, but at the same time, know that this is a human-to-human transaction. Try to build as many relationships as you can.
Bam. There you go. All right, Hunter, you got anything else you want to say before we ask him about some sales leader stuff, and then we'll maybe end it on some kick-ass sports stories.
Oh man, let's get into it.
All right, cool. All right, so your sales, you've been in sales quite some time in this industry. Worked your way up from the beginning up to where you're at, or where you were last. You were what, director or something like that? Yep. I think it was. I'm not mixed up. So let's talk about that stuff a little bit. you being in the position you're in now, what are things that you look for when, say you're hiring for salespeople and stuff like that? What are some characteristics and maybe some advice you give to folks to try to be a better candidate when it comes to this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I might be different in my hiring approach. I'm always looking for behavioral characteristics. So I don't care if you're a janitor. Just show me that you were the best janitor at wherever it was that you were at, right? That you were the janitor of the month, janitor of the year, get promoted. I'm looking for um, continued growth in your career, because typically you don't get promoted unless you're a hardworking individual. No one's going to promote the laziest person on their team, right? And even if you're not getting promoted, talk to me about things in your life, that tough challenges, tough obstacles that you set for yourself, or goals that you set for yourself, and walk me through how you achieved it, right? Not that it just fell into your lap. Especially on the broker side, to be one of the top brokers, you're getting in there early, you're staying late, you're cranking out the dials, you're building the relationship with carriers that you can trust. They trust you. They know that you're not going to burn them over over a lane or over a load. Building those types of relationships. So one of the things I look for is historical behavioral traits that to me know that if you're competitive, if you're a winner, it doesn't matter where you're at currently today, you're going to be a winner in your next role, and you're going to be a winner in your next role because you just carry those types of traits. The second thing is know your why. Know why you get up out of bed every single day. I want to know what your why is. I want to know what you're passionate about. Know your why. I want to hear your story, because again, I encourage, I embrace, I even from a sales leadership perspective, I'm committing time into you as a human because I want to see you successful. That's I get a high from that, right? Seeing other people around me be successful. I would much rather have people around me go up on stage and get awards than me go on stage, because then I get shy, I get blush, I get sweaty hands and going on stage. I'd rather see other people success. That I get joy out of life seeing other people successful. So I'm looking for everybody else's why. So those are the two things. One, prove to me that you have a competitive mindset. You have behavioral traits that you're a good human being that I want to surround myself with, and I know that you'll be a winner. And two, that you know your why at the end of the day.
Fuck yeah, bro. It's good stuff. I like that, man. Heck yeah. Very, very well said. Very well said. All right. Continuing training, man. How are you on that with the sales? When it comes to sales stuff, I think we can both agree. A lot of these companies, they hire a salesperson. They onboard them, acclimate them a little bit, and then it boom go. And if they're having issues, they just cut them loose. It's not about trying to train them better or find a different approach or anything. So how are you? What do you think about when it comes to that? Continuing training and helping people be the best salesperson.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Because a lot of companies do that, especially in the logistics world. Hey, if you can't make the 200 dials, you get burned out, you're gone, right? Churn and burn is what the analogy is. Again, when I bring someone on to my team, they're part of the team, right? And I never use the term family because I think that gets misconstrued, because you wouldn't fire your mom, your dad over a bad month, but in sales, that happens. Or you don't just quit. You don't quit your family, right? But you can quit a team if you find a better opportunity, and I encourage that, right, at the end of the day. I think the first 30 days of anyone's employment is super important. And it goes back to the way I hire is I'm investing in you long-term. I want to see you long-term be successful, right? Like I'm going to spend multiple hours with you. I always have an open door policy where if anybody needs 10, 15 minutes or even more, book something on my calendar. My job is to make sure that you're successful at the end of the day. And I think every leader should be a servant leader in that perspective. It doesn't make sense not to be to do that in my eyes, right? It's a long-term investment being hiring individuals, because again, even if it's a 40-hour work week, if you truly love the people that you're around, or you enjoy the people that you're around, or you enjoy your bosses, you'll work 50 hours, no problem, because you're passionate about the work, and you're passionate about the people you work with, right? And you're passionate about your leadership team. So I always invest in people for the long term, and then also within the first 30 days, because there's a high volume of churn and burn. I think the first 30 days is super important too, where you spend as much time with a new hire, because again, the more time you invest with them in the first 30 days, the longer their tenure with your company is going to be at the end of the day. And that's where, again, I tie it back to, it's a long-term investment. I'm not just hiring someone to be here for 90 days, get their book of business, get all their clients, and then ship them out the door. I want to build that relationship long-term.
I like that. And that's, something that's very, really sorely missing is a continuing training thing, but you took it to another part that I wasn't expecting. And that was you talking about being a leader, which was actually going to be one of my next questions. And you had said, getting out in front, and in the military, a lot of units have this thing, lead from the front, and that's also part of the NCO credo, if I'm not mistaken. But and that's what a leader is. You are not behind people telling them what to do. You are in front, directing them, leading them, charging into the fight with them, and showing them, hey, I can do it. You can do it too. Here's my methods. Try this, whatever. So, I like that, because my question was going to be next. It was about leadership, and how do you feel that a lot of these leader roles, up towards the the director roles, stuff like that, do you feel that a lot of those people get a disconnect from the lower sales force the higher that they start to get up that ladder? And if so, do you think it's important that no matter how high up you get there, you still, are cool with the ground troops, I guess you could say?
Yeah. No, it's great that you tied that into the military too. And I never try, because just out of respect for those that serve, and again, thank you for serving, I never tried to tie football and sports into the military. And I know there's a lot of overlap, right? You're bleeding the camaraderie with your brothers, battling it out, doing 2-a-days, all that kind of stuff. And then, sales is also kind of like that in regards to football, where it's a lot of grinding, dialing, getting hung up on a lot, getting told to F off a lot, right? Like that constant, the grind of it. But the way that I look at leadership is always have one foot in the trench, one foot out. And for 2 reasons. One, how the team is doing, the morale of the team, where you can help plug the gaps when you can. But then you're also knowing you're in the industry still. You're still understanding complaints. You're still knowing the day-to-day of what carriers and brokers are complaining about, what they're happy about within the industry. Because again, they're doing the day-to-day grind, right? And we're on the tech side, so we're not as close as, even though we like to say we're in it, but they're actually the ones behind the wheel, right, at the end of the day. So my leadership style is always to have one foot in, one foot out, and it's significantly easier to run through a wall for your leader if you know that he would do it for you too, right? And knowing that he has done it, or he or she has done it previously as well, right? And that's what gets me going. One of my former leaders that I still look up to today and still text him all the time is he was part of the bomb squad. I don't know the terminology, so Pedro might be able to correct me there, but he was there was a movie on it too, where he went and did defuse all the bombs in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? He was one of those.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, that was Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker. Yeah, he was one of those guys.
Yeah. EOD, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was my sales leader, and I was like, I know this guy could pick up a phone and call someone, because like that's significantly easier than doing what you were doing, trying to jump into the trunk of a car and disarm something, right? Like, absolutely, I would run through the wall for you. I will pick up the phone and make that dial, because I believe in you. And so I have the same mindset, as a servant leader, is that if I can't pick up the phone and talk to a carrier for 20, 30 minutes, like, I can't expect you to do it. So let me pick up the phone. I'll show you how I do it. And again, I mentioned it before, but I still get text messages, even from carriers who are retired, they're retired, even though they're still every once in a while picking up or getting behind the wheel and still driving, because they keep their authority active. But as a leader, you got to prove that you can do the role. I think that just speaks more volumes for anybody else that reports to you, is that, like, when I'm not in meetings, they they know that I would do it, and I wouldn't ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
Servanthood leadership right there.
That's it, man. Yeah, we're all in this together, right? And then that's why I say it's a team. We all got to be contributing to the number, to the firm, to the company at the end of the day. So, and knowing who we serve.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I was listening to like, what the hell? Someone beating down a wall. It sounded like.
I got
two fired up,
kids, man. My son's getting. He's like, yeah, go, Dad. I'm motivated. No. He's 18 months. He's probably breaking something upstairs. It's what really is what's happening. So.
Oh, dude, that's the greatest age right there. My wife and I were just talking about missing our kids being that little. Man.
Yeah. Well, he just started sleeping through the night, so that is the best age, is when they start sleeping through the night. Yeah.
Is that the only
Hey, Andrew, what kind of barrel is that behind you? Is that a whiskey barrel or a wine barrel?
That is a whiskey barrel, yeah. Excuse me. It was originally wine, but we're gonna start making it a whiskey barrel here soon.
Are you about to start pouring it in there?
Yeah, I took all my whiskey glasses out around the top because I wasn't sure, if that should be appropriate.
Right on. Yeah, I got a Jack Daniels one in my house, so I thought about it. I kind of want to make it into like a shelf for like my music and stuff, and then have like my vinyl player on top.
Yeah. Dude, I've seen some cool things. Like, they have a door. They cut out the door and put a door in there, and they have all their whiskey in there. Yeah. One of these days I'll get to it for sure.
Projects in the line. Sorry to get us off track there.
I'm done. No, honestly, it took me probably about 15 minutes for my eyes to adjust enough that I was like, that looks like a whiskey barrel.
Yeah.
So it's funny you brought it up, man, because like I've been kind of staring at it off and on, like, and it looks like a whiskey barrel.
Oh, it's sick, man. Those things are a pain in the ass to move, but once they're there, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, there's a cool decorative piece. Yeah, I was like, I gotta have it. So.
Right on, man.
All right, let's have some sports talk, man. Let's hear some stories. Unless you got anything else you'd want to continue talking about your professional stuff, man. I think we've got a pretty good story laid down. And if anyone wants to know more, they can we'll get Carm to drop his plugs, and you can go follow him, and he can tell you everything else that we didn't get to. But what do you say, Hunter? What do you say, Carm? You want to move on to just shooting shit for a little bit here?
Let's do it.
Talk some ball.
Yeah.
That's definitely Hunter's area. He's a sports fanatic of our little group.
Oh yeah, fall time. I'm very distracted on the show.
That is.
I got like 3-4 games on this. Yeah. We won't get into that.
It ain't just during the show. It's on the weekend too. Like I'll call Hunter during football season. I forget about it, and when he answers, I know that he's watching a game because I'll call him like, "Yes, Pedro." I'm like, all right, Hunter, I'll call you back. All right. That's what he's doing. Watching.
That's how I make my Christmas money, man. College football is my drug, dude. I don't know. I love it though. But yeah, we can get into it. Let's talk some ball.
Yeah, what question you guys got?
Dude, so I mean, well, I guess what made you get into football? I mean, was it just that's what you did where you lived at, or what, or what were you the kid trying to get out of the bad situation or the hood or whatever it was, like you were referencing earlier?
We grew up, Hunter, you look a little bit younger than myself, but back in the day, as soon as you get home from school, you throw your backpack in the house, and you don't come home until the lights turn on, the street lights, right? So
yep.
And then they invented 64 and PlayStation and all that stuff came later, right? But I was just one of those kids who always was never home, ran everywhere, walked everywhere, finally got a bike and rode my bike everywhere. And luckily for me, I went to a high school that had a couple high school guys playing the league. So those were guys that I just looked up to, right? So yeah, as a kid, again, I think every childhood kid wants to play in the show, right? Depending on what sport that is. So that was always my dream. And you're always going to have adversity where people say, hey, you're too slow, you're too small, you're not going to make it. Less than 5%, 3% of kids may play at Division I level. Maybe you should look into the trades and like all that other stuff. So I've always heard that growing up, but I just generally enjoyed the sport. I enjoyed working out and competing. So I was the type of kid that even if we didn't have practice, I was going and doing sprints, doing back in the day, it's called jump soles. There's these devices that you tie to your shoes that make you jump higher. That movie White Boy Can't Jump came out around that time. But anyways, I was always doing things to try to better myself. And luckily, again, sports, for anybody who's listening and has kids, sports is a great way to keep your kids out of trouble. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to go run around the streets when it's late, when you're, dog tired or exhausted from 2 days and running sprints or lifting weights. It's hard to get in trouble when you're exhausted. So, sports is a great way to keep your kids out of trouble. It builds that competitive mindset. It builds discipline. And then all of a sudden you start looking up to all these role models that are positive role models in the space too. So that's kind of what just got me into it. And I was good at it. At least I thought good enough to get a scholarship. And then just one thing led to another.
Were you a one sport guy or did you play multiple?
No, I did until freshman year of high school. So I was originally started in wrestling. So I was really good at wrestling. I thought that was going to be my career. The thing with wrestling, though, as I got older, is I don't know if you guys wrestled. It's very long. It's like 8 hours.
Dude, wrestling practice, man. 3-hour practice in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, and then
you go to your match. Your match is done in 3 minutes. And you're just sitting around.
Team. But dude, that's the most exhausting sport. I played football since I was. Well, my dad forged my date, like my age when I first played football. So I was 4 years old, 35 pounds, getting my ass rocked. And then, high school came around and they're like, oh, you should play football. So I did it, man. It helped my footwork and everything. But dude, that is the toughest sport. Like you said, man, 3 minutes and head's getting dizzy, about to pass out, shake the hand and then go throw up.
There's no quitting, right? If you just
it's life or death, dude.
It's life or death situation at that point. Yeah, it's just there's no, hey, I'm gonna take it easy on you. You're gonna take it easy on me. No, this individual is gonna try to hurt you. You're sharing sweat. You're head to head. It's very aggressive. But so I went from wrestling to transition to football, where I had a lot of fun. There's a lot more games as a kid that you can play, sharks and minnows and all that kind of fun stuff. Where in wrestling, there's really no a lot of games at wrestling practice. It's just you're just there to compete. So anyways, I did wrestling, football, and then basketball. Where in junior high, what my day looked like was, during basketball season, I'd wrestle right immediately after school and then walk across the parking lot to basketball practice. And then I wouldn't eat dinner until 7:00 at night as a kid, which is probably not smart, but just going back to back from wrestling practice to basketball practice and then in the football. But then once I got into high school, after going to my sophomore year, the football thing was actually doing very well, got promoted to the varsity, and I was like, hey, maybe I should just dedicate all my time just to football. And that's what I ended up doing my sophomore year. I still ran track because I felt that would help me with football, but gave up all the other sports at that point in time. Looking back on it, I probably should have done all the sports because it was fun, but I was really just dedicated my heart and soul to football as a naive kid. So that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah. All my kids played bunch of sports. They never played football, but they were baseball and basketball, and then they did band and all that stuff. And so I agree with you.
You know what they say: football players create basketball players. And the basketball players are the ones that can't make it.
we were just such a contradictory family because we're a huge football family. That's just love watching football, but man, we never let our kids play. It was just, I don't know, it was just a risk. We were just, really don't want to take that. But and it's and the other funny part to that is of all the people that my wife and I knew who played football as we were growing up, the only person that we know that got severely injured and eventually ended up passing was a friend of ours, Jack, who got hit in the side of the head with a baseball.
Oh God.
Baseball. And
Sorry
yeah,
to
it's
hear
like, nuts and funny. Our kids still got like so hurt playing baseball. You're like, oh, it's not a contact sport. The heck it is not,
that. Yeah.
man. Like, dude, our kids got bats and balls and feet and hands and everything in the face. And oh man, it was absolutely crazy.
Well,
But
yeah, when you put human beings competitive in a competitive area, someone's gonna get hurt. Yeah.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
and kids, man, like I think kids are the greatest and the most fun athletes to watch. And the reason I say that is because like kids, yeah, they're competitive, but man, when they're out there, they're just giving their all because they're having fun and they
Yeah.
just have that energy level. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I think watching kids play, man, it's the fun.
Yeah.
It's just the best thing to watch. But speaking of that, you had mentioned several times about growing up and all kids that play sports want to make it to the big show, whatever they're in. So aside from obviously having to train and be good, what type of player and level do you have to take yourself to, man, to even get to get the scholarships in college and then move on to the NFL?
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but you got to surround yourself with other people who want it too. That to think that everyone on your high school team's going to make it to the next level is not the great way of thinking, right? So and what I mean by that is try to surround yourself, go to these football camps, meet or sports camps, right? Go to these sports camps, introduce yourself to other people, which is, again, it's hard for kids to do that too. But, I'm sitting here now as an adult reflecting like, oh, I should have just went and talked to all these people, right? But you try to surround yourself with other competitors because at the end of the day, iron sharpens iron, right? You need to be able to compete with people who are also competitors and top athletes. And I also remember, reflecting back in high school, I'm doing these sprints, I'm doing these box jumps, and looking at everybody else, they're not jumping as high, right? So like no one's pushing me to get better because I'm like, oh, no one else can jump on this box, so I'll just do it right by myself. Whereas I probably could have jumped higher, I probably could have lifted more weight, I probably could have ran faster if there was somebody else that was competitive there as well. So try to surround yourself with other people who have that dream too, because and the same thing goes for business and in life. I look at is surround yourself with good people, good human beings. And then from a business perspective, if you're trying to be a business owner, surround yourself with other business owners that are successful. Right? Don't just surround yourself with other owner operators. Surround yourself with other owner operators that are successful. Right? I think that's the key. Is if you surround yourself, your circle with other people who are successful, no matter what they're successful at, as long as they're successful, I'll put you in a better situation too.
Yeah, you talk about those camps, man, and stuff. My kids never wanted to like go to the pros. Honestly, their whole goal is with sports was they just wanted to get a scholarship. That was in our oldest. He ended up transitioning to band because he just loved band more and whatever. But so my point to that is those camps and everything, is that exposure just as important as a young athlete, high school, college, as your stats and stuff are, or is it just all about, man, as long as I have the highest stats, a scout or someone is going to find me?
So I'm gonna give you a long-winded story, right? Because I grew up in VHS tapes era, and now nobody knows what a VHS is, right? So
I love that.
I was a kid who thought he was making a sick highlight film, but it was just like buffering the static, and then there's the play, and then buffering the static, and sending it out. And it cost a lot of money to send those things out as a kid. And my dad's just like, how many of these? Like, I can't afford to keep sending all these tapes out. So then I ended up going through the high school, and they would send a few for me. But yeah, sending out VHS tapes to everywhere. And then fast forward to now. So camps were super important because as a recruiter, back in the day, I can maybe go in person and see two high school games if the high schools were close and if they were playing at different times, right? I can watch the first half on the north side of Chicago and then travel 15 minutes south to another high school and try to catch the second half. Fast forward to a little bit, you have these camps. Now you can see thousands of athletes go. You can see what they actually look like in person, what their build is, their stature, what their athletic ability is from broad jump, 40, vertical, bench press ish in high school. So now you get someone who's on your radar. And then fast forward a little bit to today where everything's on huddle, it's all digital. That's it. Because now a coach, you got to look at it. And again, I'll do it when I was in college versus today too. So I'll keep fast forwarding because I'm old. When I was already committed, everything transformed to DVDs and then to online. A college coach can now, after after coaching the players and after practice, can go up into his office for 30 minutes and watch 30 kids, and it's probably more than that, probably 60 kids, because you need your first 30 seconds of your highlight film to be the best of the best plays you ever have. Because within the first 10 seconds, if a college recruiter doesn't see something that he likes, he turns it off and goes to the next one. Because it's a numbers game, right? You're trying to see as many kids, hidden gems as you can find. So you really want to make that first 10, 15 seconds of your highlight film the best of the best plays that you have, because he's just hitting next. Is click of a button, just like on YouTube, right? You're just hitting next on the next kid. Fast forward to today, and then so a couple of my buddies are still college coaches, and if they're at the Division I level, they don't even recruit really high school kids anymore. They recruit other Division I schools now. So now the way that it's transformed to, and what you're going to see now in the next couple of years is, SEC, Big Ten, they're going to recruit from the ACC, the Big 12, the Mountain West, the Pac-12. They're just going to recruit from these other schools. One, it saves them so much time because now these kids are vetted. They've proven that they can play at these schools. So I'm just going to take you. There's no transfer. You have to sit out a year anymore. So now I can take you right away. And it's going to it's going to be a feeder program, but it's going to be a feeder program from other Division I schools. At least that's what I'm hearing from some of my college teammates that are coaching today, is like they barely recruit high school kids unless they're a 5-star athlete. But even then, you recruit them, they commit to you next year. Texas comes along and says, "Hey, I'm going to pay you twice as much." What are you going to do, right? It's just you just spent a year's worth of recruiting on a kid who didn't even get. You got a couple plays in their freshman year, and now they're gone because another school is going to pay them. So it's just like it's completely changed. There's going to be some regulation that's going to enter the market. Of course, kids are getting paid after I leave, but not going to hate them on that for getting paid while in college. But I don't know if the NCAA is going to stick around for much longer. I knew they weren't going to stick around even when I was there because it's hard for them to enforce things against SEC schools and Big Ten schools when they make more money than the NCAA does. So there's going to have to be some type of regulation that comes in that helps these universities and help them keep and retain some of the talent that they have.
Yeah, and that breaks up the commitment, on the initial front. Back in the day before NIL and the transfer portals were in place, you had to work for that spot. Look at Alabama, they had that recruiting, and I'm not going to say anything out there, but like Alabama boosters, they pay some cash, but you got people like Tua Tagovailoa that comes in second half of the national championship game as a redshirt freshman and goes the fuck off and puts Jalen Hurts out to have, Oklahoma. Like you got to have that. But just because there's a kid that, is not really trying that hard and then, ends up going from, let's say, like Michigan to Tulane and somebody wants to pay him $2 million. Well, cool. But I don't know.
Can't blame the kid for going and chasing the money. I mean, that's.
Or Carson Beck, don't even get me started on that cat driving a freaking Ferrari, making $6 million a year, and then I think he got paid $10 million to go play his last year at the U.
I want to ask you about that, Carman, because you were an athlete before the end. Then I know what is your thought on this? Because man, I didn't know this was such a hard line between folks that are for it and against it. But what are your thoughts on the NIL stuff?
I think NCAA dropped the ball. I think they're, and again, I'm based off of my personal experience. I remember, so back when I played, you got a stipend, right? So they didn't pay you; they gave you money for food and rent, right? And we're not talking a lot of money, right? Barely enough to cover your rent, which some of my teammates in college had jobs. Like they worked at the university, they worked at the library, they worked at the study hall, just so they can make a couple bucks an hour. But I remember asking my parents for rent money every December and every August because they can only give you money for days of school in the month. So in December, when school cut out at the 15th or the 12th of the month, you only got 12 days worth of pay. So they didn't cover my rent. Like I was just like, guys, this doesn't make any sense. I still have rent, even though you're already paying me I was, yes, in school for 12 days, but I still have a full month of rent. I still have a full month of bills, right? So I think NCAA definitely dropped the ball early. They're being greedy, right? I get it. They're trying to run a business. But luckily, a player out of Florida sued and got all that stuff overturned, so now players can make money. But to Hunter's point, when you sign a letter of intent or you're signing a contract, right? I think what's ultimately going to end up happening is, hey, we're going to give you $5 million to come here and play, but you have to be here for at least a minimum of 2 years or we get that money back. Just like any other contract, it's a business transaction, right? You got to run this lane, you got to run this load, and you'll get paid upon delivery. And same thing with all these other contracts. You got to pay out, you got to play. We'll pay you. It'll be $2 million for every year. But if you quit 6 months into the season or you transfer 6 months, you don't get the rest of that contract. So I think that's the way that they're ultimately going to end up going right now. It's the wild, wild west because people haven't figured it out yet. You're starting to see agents now go after high school kids, which is also fascinating. But I firmly believe student athletes should get paid. It also didn't make sense when, in December, I'm picking up a security job while I go into the local store at my university and everyone's wearing my football jersey and they're selling my football jersey on the raft on the racks there. And I'm like, that don't make any sense to me. Why do I have to get a job to pay my rent, but yet you guys are making money off my jersey, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. I see people walking around campus with my jersey on, and I'm like, I didn't see a dime of that. So I'm glad that players are getting paid. Also, players can get hurt, right? They can get hurt their freshman year. At least they got some money that they can use to invest. So like I'm all for that, but I do think there has to be some regulation that has to come into play just for not to ruin the sport. Because I'm a big fan of college football over the NFL. So I don't want the sport to get ruined, but I do want players to get paid. And I do think there's going to have to be some regulations or governance to it.
Yeah. Well, you do see some good out of it. Certain players, they're getting like $4 to $10 million a year. They take care of their teammates, that might be preferred walk-ons or even practice squad, So there is good to it, but the ones that are just like, fuck you money, like Carson Beck, I don't like that guy. He was a chump, dude, and left was like, I'm going to the NFL. And then, come to find out he's a bum. His NFL stock's worth nothing, but, his girlfriend plays basketball down in Miami. So I, don't believe in coincidences. So big publicity stunt there. But yeah, to get paid that much money. And then, these other players that come out there and bust their ass and, because not every high school has those coaches that support them like that. Not everybody has those resources to really, pump their stock and, prove who they are. So, yeah, I could go on and on with it. Me and my buddies got a joke. We think the portal is just going to get to where it's an ultimate portal and there's going to be no football at some point and they're going to have to figure it out. But, yeah, I agree with you on that. If you're on the team, you should be taken care of because that's one of the reasons I didn't play. I had scholarship offers from smaller schools, but I really cared about my education and, obviously had preferred walk-on opportunities. But I told my pops, I was like, dude, if I'm not, I don't want to really tell you about how the freaking practice field looked that day, like, and especially at a smaller school, I want to go and get my education. But like, those kids that you're talking about, man, like you see it all the time, like even at UGA, starting players that aren't on full scholarship, they work 40 hours a week with practice, with school, and obviously the SEC, they got a little extra help, like they don't have to go to class. They have, their academic areas and whatnot, but like it puts a lot of stress on these cats, and then like you're talking about, dude, like selling your jersey or pictures of you, or just using your image and likeness, and you don't see a single cent. That's FUBAR.
Yeah, that'll make no sense to me. Never did. And one thing too, right? So I think it was like 3 or 5% of high school kids play at Division I, and then less than 1% of Division I athletes play in the NFL, right? So all these guys that make money. I mean, it's 99% of all the other players that are on the teams now have an opportunity to have a monetary value or financial gain from it, even if they don't play in the NFL. Now, at least, even if they're a backup, they get their education paid for, and they're going to be set up for success post college, where they have some money in the bank. They don't have to go work and take the first job that they get. Right now, they can sit back and either invest or look at the right opportunity for them. So I'm all for the players. I just do know that there's always going to be competing heads. Colleges is just like a business. They're going to want to get talent for as cheap as they possibly can, and the labor force is always going to try to get paid as much as it can. So there's definitely going to be, just like any other industry, there's definitely going to be some type of governance or regulation that comes into play.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I have been since it started. Since they started talking about it, and if I haven't watched, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a good documentary. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's about NIL, and it's focused around LSU, which is like really taking charge of this stuff. And I got to give them credit, man. Like they're one of the few universities. They have an entire department set up for student athletes to help them with their NIL. Like they help them search for opportunities, put together videos, and all of this stuff. Look for sponsorships, and they have people there that guide them on like what to do with their money. Hey, you start getting this stuff, start thinking about the future. And I want to I'll end my point on what you had said towards the end there, about them having money for other opportunities. And I think that's a big part of this, that a lot of these kids, probably their dream regardless is to play at a professional level, but there are some that to them, that's what they have to do to make the living that they eventually want to have. You know what I mean? And to them, that's a level of success. And if they have a chance to accumulate that type of wealth and money, earlier on in their career or in their life, they may be able to go on a different trajectory. Maybe now, instead of playing in the NFL, that, one of these kids has made a couple mil, maybe they want to do what they really have a heart for. And that's, be a pediatric cardiac surgeon or something, you know what I mean? Or a car salesman, you never know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it. And I believe that I think the reason a lot of that the NCAA and a lot of these colleges are mad about it is because, like you said, it's a business. It took money away from them. And I'll tell you, here's the dirty part of it is, and that no one says, is what they were doing is child exploitation. That's exactly what they're doing. These schools are making millions and millions of dollars off of these children, 18, 19 years old or not. They're still children and they don't know any better. They're making millions off of these kids. And like you said, you'll see people walking around with your jersey, Carm, and you get none of that. You know what I mean? Carm's sitting there serving you your Subway sandwich and you're wearing his jersey.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. Absolutely. They've been running a business, having free labor for over 100-something years, right? Like that's just the reality of it, and it's a great product. The product sells. It's a fun product to watch. I think you're spot on. It's about time that some of these guys are getting paid, and to your point too, right? It's like one of my buddies. He's part of the NFLPA Chicago chapter. What he does now, what he loves to do, is make coffee mugs and plates and stuff out of clay. And it's just like he wouldn't be able to do that if he had to work, right? So he got to play in college for a little bit, got to play obviously in the NFL for a little bit, made some good money, and now he's getting to do something that he's passionate about, right? And it's just like, otherwise he would have to go, get a job, a 9 to 5 every day. But because he had the opportunity to get paid, now these kids will be able to do that out of college right away and find something that they're truly passionate about first. So, I mean, those are all the great stories that come out of that.
They are, and the final thing I say that is some of these kids are even being able to take care of their families. That documentary I watched, some of those kids, they come from not great backgrounds, and not only are they in school getting a good education, but the money that they're making from their endorsements and stuff like that, they're supporting their families and have been able to raise their families up as well. So yeah, I'm all for it, man. When the question I had until you kind of touched on it, and I was like, man, that's a good one. Like, because you saw it beforehand, man. You know what I mean? And I'm in Texas, dude, and I mean, I know football is big in a lot of places, but football is massive here. I mean, we have high school stadiums that are larger than some college stadiums. So
I know. I during like spring break and all that stuff, I used to go back with my Texas buddies and I walk. They show me their stadium. I'm like, hey, man, like there's nothing like that I'm used to seeing around the Chicagoland area. We have steel bleachers, right? Stamped steel, and they got full on stadiums out there. So that's I think it's all good. It's all good stuff. Giving people an opportunity to pay for the family. I don't know if you guys ever seen, or Pedro, you had an opportunity to see where Jameson Winston grew up. But he's able to provide for all his family and everybody else, and it gives them an opportunity, right? That again, 99% of people wouldn't have otherwise, because that's how small the market. There's only 32 teams, right? And in the NFL, they have 53 on an active roster, but only 46 actually get to play. I don't know what it's like post-COVID. That's what it was like when I was there. Only so 53 players get to travel, but only 46 are actually can suit up for a game. Well, now you look at numbers. You have 11 on offense, 11 starters on offense, 11 starters on defense. That's 22. You got to carry a kicker, punter, and a long snapper. Now you're looking at 25. So in reality, you're competing for those final backup spots, right? And the pay is obviously different from travel versus active too. So, at the long story short, I think it's all good things. I'm glad that the guys are starting to get paid now. They're able to do good things with the money versus just the universities just bankroll or just collecting all that bankroll.
Wholeheartedly agree, man.
Yeah.
Wholehearted. All right, we're going to go ahead and wind it down, Hunter, unless you got anything you want to add to this topic, or you want to continue with something else.
I'll be talking to old Carmelo on the other side of life, dude. I love football, guys, man.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. Would be super happy to join again. I love just being able to just sit here, talk casual, talk sports, talk logistics, talk trucking. I'm all for it. So whenever you guys need me, I'll be here. I think you guys are good people, so I have no problem shooting the shit with you guys for a couple hours.
No, man, we appreciate you being. Oh, sorry, Hunter.
Let's say good news for you, brother. You are now officially a lounge lizard.
All right,
which is a term of endearment, and so yeah, dude, like I'm talking about, anytime you're gonna come and kick it with us, if there's a guest that we have on that interests you, or we have Freestyle Fridays once a month, hit us up. We will get you on the show, brother. Because
awesome, count me in.
That's what it's all about. But Pedro, I will take this line. Carmelo, do you got any last questions, comments, concerns, and plugs that you want to get before we chop out of here?
Yeah, just I wouldn't say question. My only request is I'm ready to come back on here and kick it with you guys with you guys for a little bit. So again, thank you so much for having me on. Look forward to coming on next time. And thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody that hopped in and watched.
Oh yeah,
sweet. Well, stay with us, man. We're going to do a final sponsor break, and then we'll tell you what we got coming up Friday. And yep, that was it. All right, so sponsor break. All right, Freight Ninja taking care of the truck parking problem. They got dozens of locations across the country. Y'all can go to check them out on the website, freightninja.com, or you can give them a call, 844-303. Need to see the number. Keep going because I forgot the rest. 303-1505. Use code Lounge Ninja and get yourself some special rates. And our good new friends over from Trailer Century, awesome device that is aimed at stopping asset and cargo theft, but it does a whole bunch of amazing other things. You can hit them up at 7pgps.com. Call them at 812-988-4430. Ask for Derek or Jeff. And don't have a code for you guys yet. We're working on something right now. And as soon as we get it, we will push that out to y'all. And that's going to do it for us today. We will be back Friday as usual, 4 p.m. ish Central Time. We have our good buddy Anthony from R&R Express going to come and hang out with us in the lounge, and we are going to have. I mean, I don't know. This might be an 11-hour show.
Don't say that, dude.
We might even turn this into Freestyle Friday. Hey, you know, Anthony, that man has got.
I know, dude.
To say, and but hey, R&R Express, a great company, multi-generational. So we got a lot to talk about. So make sure you tune in and stick with us. Then, Hunter, you got anything you want to say before we chop out this piece?
Carmelo, you are the man. Thank you for coming on this show. It's always awesome to see people that come from sports backgrounds, you know, and seeing how you implement it, you know, and it's just awesome, dude. Your story, and, you know, great to meet you. Glad to see what you're doing and excited to see where things go for you. But next Tuesday, Trades Junkies got Miss Christy Knitchell coming on. We're about to talk about some cans. We're going to do a little intermodal talk, trains, planes, automobiles, but mainly boats and containers. So tune in. And that's all I got, Mr. Potato. How about yourself?
Awesome, man. That's it. Just again, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Carm, thanks. Thank you again, also, man, for joining us, dude. And can't wait to have you back on. As I always say, chunk them deuces, Mr. Hound. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.